Alright guys, let's get into some of the nitty-gritty of Harry being a jerk and being a victim with Stephen ColberT. And if you don't know, he's not French, so I call him Stephen ColberT because that's his actual name.
I've had and turned it into a salacious headline.
Well, I mean, there are problems
which is somewhat typical.
Right, especially if you read this book, you find out how typical that is.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of faults in the American press, and people from all different stripes can see that in the American press, but the British press is almost odd to me. It's sort of bizarre how vicious they can be. You detail a lifetime of dishonorable behavior like the kind you're describing, and not only from the press, but from palace sources, palace insiders, who would not only not defend you, but also plant stories that were derogatory toward you.
Well, that's what Harry says. Sounds like a load of BS to me. Who knows? Maybe it happened once or twice, but I think it's just to blame everybody. Everything you've ever heard that was bad about me was a lie. Some of you had some great comments recently, and I agree that the palace did an amazing job of protecting him. I mean, he was like a mess up, a goofy guy. Sounds like he's a jerk in many, many ways. He has a temper, emotional problems, and all of that. But they create this image of like the goofball, like the goofy, friendly guy, which worked for him. And to him, it's just every bad thing is someone else's fault. I think he was heavily, heavily protected and sheltered. And he still is. The first thing in the U.S. we heard was like Harry and Meghan are these great people. They're these victims. But then when you look just at what they actually do and how they actually behave, they're jerks.
And placed you and your loved ones under attack. And judging the last few days, that hasn't changed.
Nothing's changed.
Okay. Do you think that right now there is an active campaign by the rest of your family, by the royal house, as it were, to undermine this book? And
of course he's going to say yes. This got me thinking. One of you recommended, I'm sorry I don't remember right now, maybe we could do reviewing Spare, like his own words, right? Because he blames everyone for everything else. Let's see that face. Let's see, what's his expression? I don't know. He just looks angry, I guess, resentful.
And as you support it?
Of course, and mainly by the British press, because they
are aided and abetted by the palace.
Again, of course, but there's...
Of course.
This is the other side of the story, right? After 38 years. They've told their side of the story. This is the other side of the story. And
of course he says that. Of course. Like, nothing that ever could have been done wrong to me that's not my fault could have not happened. Of course it happened. Him, after 38 years, you sat with editors and planned out to insult your brother and his hairline at length. Who can do that? To sit and have, take all of that time to think things through. It's not just in the moment and write something like that. What a baby. And also about his blue private parts.
There's a lot in here that, perhaps makes people feel uncomfortable and scared. I would say that I think there's some veterans in the house tonight. I think one of the most, look, I'm not going to lie, the last few days have been hurtful and challenging, not being able to do anything about those leaks that you referred to. But perhaps not perhaps, without doubt, the most dangerous.
What horrible speaking. That's just horrible speaking. Like, he's just interrupting himself over and over. Perhaps, blah, blah. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, I guess he's qualifying everything for how hard it is for him, but just bad speaking.
Lie that they have told is that I somehow boasted about the number of people that I killed in Afghanistan.
I've read that section of the book, and without reading the entire thing right here, to me...
He looks really, really upset and very narcissistic, and it's funny, like, this seems like a common thing. I feel like the press can be jerks, but you've seen it where it says, everything said about me is wrong, I'm always a victim, I'm always angry, blah, blah, blah. It's like you see this with a number of people.
It's a very thoughtful description of what that knowledge is like to have and what the experience is to know that you have done this in order to protect what you believe is good in the world from those who would wish to destroy it. There's nothing boastful about it. And not only that...
But also, I would say that if I heard anyone boasting about that kind of thing, I would be angry. But it's a lie. And hopefully, now that the book is out, people will be able to see the context. And it's really troubling and very disturbing that they can get away with it. And also because they had the context. It wasn't like here's just one.
From what I've heard as well is Harry hates the First Amendment. He hates that like anyone can talk, but he's allowed to say anything he wants, which is tyranny. That's the whole point. Like, I feel like it's so sad that this has been lost in a lot of this culture. Is like, do a thought experiment. If everyone thought as you did, could the world work? So if everybody thought, no one can say things I don't like, but I can say things I like. If everyone thought that way, could the world work? No. What happens is everybody takes each other out, right? It's people who have that strong feeling want other people to cease to exist. And that's been most of history. The genius idea is like, what if we had an idea, if everybody thought this way, we could dislike each other in the world and disagree and the world could work. So if we had this idea like, wow, like I could say things that other people don't like, but other people could say things I don't like, and we're both going to deal with it and tolerate it. Some people love this word tolerance, but that's tolerance. And that idea has just been lost completely by so many people, and people don't get it. I guess just people want to do like Harry, what was done throughout history is just you fight till people are no longer existing, because that's how it's worked through most of history. So it's very short-sighted and emotionally based.
They had the whole section, they ripped it away and just said, here it is, he's boasting on this. When, as you say, that you've read it, and everybody else will hopefully be able to have a chance to read it. And that's dangerous. And my words are not dangerous, but the spin of my words...
Yes, they are.
Very...
Yes, they are. Your ridiculous stuff, what you put your family through.
Very dangerous.
Dangerous because it makes you a increased target, those around you that you love.
And that is a choice they've made.
That is so full of BS. He's just so extreme as well. Like, has anyone actually attacked him physically? No, they've not. And I think he just, it's again this exercise that is common now. It's like, find the worst interpretation. So if someone, right? It's like the words of violence. It's like, it's this rationalization. Well, they said something I don't like that doesn't portray me the way that I like. And you know what that means? That means that I'm in danger because someone could read that and that person could not like me, and then that person could decide to attack me. None of that happened. That all occurred in Harry's imagination or words, and none of it happened. But again, these are also dangerous things when you're taking other people's actions or words and putting a whole lot of things into it that are not there, and saying the consequences should be based on what you imagined, what mental exercise you're doing to create a certain interpretation. You can't make consequences based on your imagination. So again, his way of viewing the world is very, very dangerous. That is dangerous. Because again, if everyone thinks that way, or people with massive amounts of power think that way, it results in very dangerous things.
The odd thing about it is that this is nothing new. Here's an article from, I believe this is from Reuters, from 10 years ago, describing that you had killed Afghan insurgents, the Taliban, in sorties. So this isn't new information. This has been known for a long time.
Almost 10 years to the day. My face was splattered all over the front pages because someone asked me a question while I was still in Afghanistan if I had killed anybody from an attack helicopter. And I said yes. And I think the most important thing here is not only the context, but the reason as to why I decided to share this in my book. Because
I will give Harry, though, some credit. It is very possible things were taken out of context, but I just think his attitude is so ridiculously extreme about, things need to be perfect for him, but, Yeah, but he could say whatever he wants. Everyone else has to say the perfect thing. For me, I think the clarification, like instead of tearing down your whole family, maybe like he has a platform. I think that would be great. Go out and say what you want to say, but without being a massive jerk to everybody you know. But thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.